Hello and welcome to another episode of the Plus 63 HP podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Jong Clemente. Alongside with me are two of my bestest best friends in the entire world. I'm gonna start with the man directly below me, Chubax. How are you?
Yeah, hello. Excited to be here and excited to get into the rings of power.
Below him is another one of our bestest best friends. Waking up at an ungodly hour in the West Coast is Arnie.
Hello there. So again, just like I was excited to talk about the Rings of Power.
And if this is your first time in the show, welcome. We are the Plus 63 HP Bro Chat Show, so the Nexus channel for all things nerddom. We review shows on Mondays and Tuesdays. On Wednesdays, we drop our first D&D campaign playthrough. We recorded, put it on YouTube and a podcast for your entertainment pleasure. On Thursdays, we react to a curated lists of videos, clips, features, trailers, and see which ones we'll be hyped about. And on Friday, there's another D&D show that we drop. So from Mondays through Fridays, you'll have content to enjoy with us. And we hope that you join in the community of like-minded individuals that just like to enjoy cool stuff with their friends and their family. As mentioned, this week, we are diving deep into, I think, one of the most important things that will come out in cinema/television in recent history. Amazon Studios, The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, first and second episode. So before we dive deep into that, we'll start off with our initial reactions about the show, non-spoilery. If you don't have Amazon Prime, which is if you're in the United States, like why don't you have it? It's kind of like a requirement now.
And that's not even just for shows, it's just like for ordering stuff. You get
for
free
ordering stuff,
shipping.
Ordering
just
stuff.
for like the 2-day shipping alone.
Music, if you have an Echo.
Yeah, there's a lot of free stuff, but for the ones that don't have Amazon Prime or have not been interested in anything Lord of the Rings at all, they have no idea what this show is about. Let's sell them into this particular series without spoiling the amazing first 2 episodes of season 1. So Arnie, how about you? Let's start with you. Non-spoilery initial reaction of episode 1 and 2 of the Rings of Power.
I mean, it's a trip back to Middle Earth, beautifully shot, uh, beautiful actresses, beautiful actors, at least the elves, as they're supposed to be. But yeah, if you love Middle Earth or you've always been curious about Middle Earth, yeah, check it out.
Your box?
It was what I was expecting. Yeah, we'll go with that.
I had very high expectations of the show for 2 reasons. Amazon bought the television rights for Lord of the Rings for $250 million in November of 2017. So that is one of the highest IP purchases to date, just to use the property.
Just not even to shoot, just
to like, hey, Christopher Tolkien, son of J.R.R. Tolkien, how much would it be to use? Not even the fucking Lord of the Rings thing, the appendices of this fucking book.
The deal specified you can't use the original trilogy and the Hobbit.
Just the appendices of all of the books. That's what they're doing. So initially it was very, very scary because a lot of Tolkien heads, these are very, very voracious fans. They were very scared that this might be fan fiction because again, you're gonna fill in a lot of blanks using just the appendices of the works. But they started that 2017, so that is almost 5 years ago. So with writing, building a team, COVID, it took that long to get the first season. The other thing that my expectation was set extremely high, Amazon has committed to make a 5-season production for $1 billion. So not having done a lick, you already have 5 seasons in the book. Like that is such a big risk. and only a company like Amazon, not like, spoiler, full disclosure, I work there, so I kind of
Yeah.
know how much they might make. So only a company like an Amazon could afford to take this giant of
Was
a risk or can
only
force.
shows that your big boss is a nerd.
Yeah. That the show is you can dump that much resources, but
Mhm.
also make sure that those resources pay off some way in a respectful manner on the things that you want to do. Because it's a big risk. Like if you're putting that much money into a crappy show and it doesn't land, it's going to be very, very difficult, not only just for Amazon Studios, but everything that has an Amazon brand. So with that, even with those high expectation, the first two episodes blew me away. So with
Oh,
um and let's start the discussion because I know this we're gonna have a very meaty deep dive in terms of not only how the show looks, feels, the story, but our feelings towards the IP in general. Um, just a few more stats before we go into the synopsis is the showrunners of Rings of Power is JD Payne and Patrick McKay. Very very big Tolkien fans. They consulted a lot of Game of Thrones showrunners to be in this
I could tell. I
so,
could tell.
and one of the main consultants, or they really wanted Brian Cogsworth, a showrunner
Mm-hmm.
of multiple seasons of Game of Thrones, arguably the best seasons of Game of Thrones,
Mm-hmm.
um, to be a writer here. But just the idea of 5 seasons, approximately 8 to 10 years, he was just like, I just got out of a a giant franchise, and I'm just gonna go into another franchise, which made sense because Game of Thrones is essentially porn version of Lord of the Rings. So so it would have been it would have made sense, but that actually made it better because having just those people as consultants, they just made the Rings of Power series not fall into the same traps as the Game of Thrones might have fallen into here or there. Because it's very difficult. Like Game of Thrones paved the way for people to understand a series that has more than five main characters. This has approximately minimum of 14, most likely 20 main characters. It's not even
Mm-hmm.
like this group. No, these are singular characters, and that's very
Mm-hmm.
very difficult to build. And Game of Thrones was one of the series that made sure that if to do an ensemble cast correctly, you really need this amount. That's why they had to do 5 seasons at least, because that's just the minimum number of seasons that they could do to just make sure that you don't throw a character away. So um again, the producers, Ron Ames, Chris Newman, big producers in Amazon Live Studios. All the productions were done either in New Zealand for season one. So season one, all of the production was done in New Zealand. In season two, which they've already started or already somewhat finished, they might have reshoots. Is all in the UK. All of these were done in the pandemic. That's why it was fairly difficult. So it's a sight to see that's actually hearing now. Um, the last point here is all of the episodes will be anywhere between 60 to 67 minutes. So every episode is an hour long. So
Yep.
that is, depends on how
Yeah.
much you watch TV. I love it. I love an hour show,
Yeah.
but 10 of those a year might be a little bit, or eight of
Yeah.
those a year might be
Could,
difficult. All right.
could you
So
confirm if they even talked with Stephen Colbert? I mean, he's the
I'll
biggest
check the Stephen
Tolkien
Colbert show. I know
fan.
he's like, he's a fan, but
He's like, he's even like challenging the actors of the, even Peter Jackson.
yeah, being a fan
Some
doesn't mean
fans.
that you know how to make TV shows. So
Well, yeah.
but it's good. With that, all right, Arnie, take us through the synopsis of episode 1 and 2.
All right. So episode one opens with, I guess that's Valinor, where we open up. That's basically the elf heaven, the undying lands, or Valhalla, or ancestral plane, whatever you want to go to. We get introduced to the young Galadriel, who's making a paper boat, and it turns out even elf kids are jerks.
Yep.
They sunk her ship, but her brother, we're introduced to the brothers. forgetting that brother's name. But basically,
Follendor.
yeah,
Foreign.
foreign
Flooring. Fuck. Forget.
her brother. But basically, giving us, an establishment of
Finrod. Sorry,
relationship.
Finrod.
Finrod, there you go. Establishment of her relationship with her brother, which comes into play in episode 2 and actually in episode 1 as well. Basically comparing a sinking rock and a boat. On the rock gets tempted by the darkness, that's why it continues to sink, and then the boat sees the light, keeps going above water. And then the question she asked, well, how do you tell the difference? Initially, it wasn't shown or told in the scene, but later on there's a callback to it, which I will discuss later. But spoiler alert, it just says that until you meet the darkness, you only see the light. Very Tolkienish, very yeah. It sounds simple, but there's a deeper meaning to it. So I love that part. But basically, after that intro, we were told, they showed us that Morgoth, the great foe from the first age of basically the whole story of Middle Earth, was starting to become a problem for the elves. That's why the elves left Valinor, their undying lands, to introduce war in Middle Earth and basically defeat Morgoth. But unfortunately, when he was defeated, one of his lieutenants basically took up the reins, and that's where we get the introduction to Sauron. If you guys remember in the first trilogy of movies, that's the big enemy at the first trilogy. So, and yeah, we get introduced to Sauron, the orcs, and then we get introduced as well to the Harfoots, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, like an ancestor of
Yep.
the
Yeah,
hobbits,
seems
right?
like it. Yeah. Mhm.
I mean, they're
I
very
think
hobbit.
I think they confirmed that already, like outside
Yeah.
of the show.
Yeah, so I think
They're nomadic.
I mean,
Nomadic. Before they settle down.
yeah, so I think even if they just name them hobbits, I mean they're practically hobbits. So we're introduced with Nori, Brandyfoot, Poppy, and a few others. The Brandyfoot name, it sounds familiar for me. I mean, because I did geek out on Lord of the Rings 20 years ago. Maybe it's an ancestor of the Bagginses, but we'll see. Feel free to confirm or call me an idiot. But
Idiot.
yeah, that's what I just thought. But anyways, we get introduced to this elf, I guess watcher. I guess they just go to each village and just they get reports from humans, trying to see if there's any hints of darkness or something.
No, it's
like
more.
that.
They had an outpost because that
Outpost.
Yeah.
village or that town once worked
Yeah.
with Morgoth.
Yeah,
So
so
they're just
they're
keeping
just
them in
keeping an
line.
eye on them, which you could feel the tension, and there was like even like a little kid just trying to kick out the elves, But we do see that the main elf, what's his name, is something.
Arondir.
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 Arondir. There you go, Arondir. So we'll have to get used to these names again. So
A
sorry.
lot of names. It's gonna be a
And
lot
then-
of names.
And then the human female Bronwyn, or I almost called her Bronny, like LeBron's
Mhm.
child, but it just hints of basically Arwen and Aragorn, but basically it's flipped roles, and also Bronwyn has a son who found, I think it's an Orgoth blade, so it's probably
Who
one of
kind of
those.
looks like Arondir, or like the skin color kind of suggests that he's the son.
He's the son, right?
Because
But
the
yeah, but
father
he
left
found,
also.
yeah, he found a hilt of it looks like an Orgoth blade, like one of
Yeah,
those Nazgûl blades.
it has Sauron's mark.
It's
Yeah.
So
the
must
the
be-
ring. It's the ring.
Mm.
So yeah, so it's basically it's a MacGuffin of this show for now. You could tell that this blade is slowly trying to corrupt Theo, the son,
Mhm.
and then yeah. So basically, episode 1 ends when there's this. Oh, by the way, going back to the elves with Galadriel, so of course she kept hunting for the orcs. She kept looking for Sauron. her company had a slight mutiny, or not. I mean, Elrond explained it's not really a mutiny when they're just following orders. Like, the orders of the king was just
I did
do this
like
for a
that.
certain amount of time.
I did like they're gonna mutiny. They're gonna fight her. No, they're
Yeah.
just dropping their sword
No.
because she'd kick their ass.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She'll wipe them out. But basically, I mean, the only action segment in the episode is
The
the
start.
Galadriel versus the troll, the snow troll.
Which is badass.
But
Great.
but
Name a
basically,
better pilot episode. Name a better first episode for
I have
AD.
for me. I have a lot.
uh,
It's like I saw like every frame was like gorgeous.
Oh
a
yeah,
painting
it was.
of
It
an
was.
I
action.
mean, okay. As
Mm.
I said in my non-spoilery review, it's beautiful. It's like a painting. It's
beautiful.
like
Every shot, every frame of that
yeah,
2 hours that we saw was like
like
wow.
basically,
Yeah,
if
but
I could
story
see,
wise,
if I could see in 4 or 8K, I would gladly watch it in 4 or 8K. But my eyesight is not that good, so I'm just on 1080p. But
for
basically,
me,
yeah.
this
So
is more
again,
like you, Jong, but the opposite. Like a good story can survive a bad CGI, but this one is like great CGI, but the story. I'm not saying the story is bad, but it's not on par with the CGI or with
Oh,
how it looks.
I'm like totally the opposite. I think that the 1 hour to span 3 centuries or more, because it's
Mhm.
wonky the number of there were kids, and
Yeah.
then there was they were adults, which
It
is a
could have
long
been
time for
1,000 years
elves.
even.
Yeah.
And then there was the war that ran a century, and
Yeah.
then her century of fight. Like, to put that cleanly, I was like,
Yeah.
that's pretty impressive. But
Yeah.
I've also started researching. This essentially these 3,000 years in the books, in the appendices, they squished into 1,000 years to make the timing work, which
But
we'll do
for
in the
me,
second episode.
that's my issue is it's a prequel.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mhm.
a lot of this agency is gone from me because one Galadriel, which is great
Is-
casting. She's great casting. I'm crushing on her, but
Mhm.
like my wife said, it's Kate Blanchett on the original
Oh, yeah.
one. So it's like,
Yeah.
and then Elrond also. It's Hugo Weaving. So
Elrond-
even how good
Elrond
you are,
the actor who plays Elrond. I think that's the guy who played Ned Stark in the Tower of Joy in one of the Game of Thrones seasons. That's the only actor I recognized.
I was like, he doesn't have
But,
that.
yeah, I
you know,
agree.
like I know they're still young and stuff, but like Galadriel's agency is to defeat Sauron. We know she does. We know she does that. She's not even in the.
Defeat a Sauron.
She's not even in
That's
the fight.
that. So that's every. So you're
Oh,
1,000%.
Every
Every podcast that every podcast that I've listened to, every review that I've listened to has the exact same thing. Exact same thing. No agency. You already know what's happening. Funny thing enough, you haven't even mentioned the first few lines of Fellowship of the Ring essentially summarizes what happens all of the seasons of Rings of Power.
Mhm.
Everything that happens. So, do you think that if all right, that's so the idea now is everything is going to be different, not different, but that is the mark that every single person in that show understands. If
Mhm.
you have the entire 3,000 years in 3 lines that Galadriel has mentioned in the first few seconds of Fellowship of the Rings,
Mm.
that's the thing that you need to beat. That's why I'm excited. And I'm like you, I hate prequels.
Yeah,
My
but for me,
point
because
here,
I know what's gonna happen to her. She's gonna get a ring. She's gonna be duped.
Yeah.
In a sense,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
she's not. She wasn't in the fight to beat the Sauron in Fellowship. The one that got when his Isildur cut his fingers.
Mhm.
Galadriel wasn't there, and she wasn't even in the last fight as well. So
Yeah.
this her whole motive here is just to defeat Sauron, and even if it is a
Yeah.
different Sauron,
Mhm.
she's still gonna
Yeah.
get duped by another Sauron who was
Another
probably
one. Yeah,
worse.
that's the thing. And for me, that's kind of like that closes it out, because initially that was my thought too. Is like, all right, we know the major beats because all the major beats have been said.
Mhm.
So even in the first episode, now if experts did not actually get to see how this happened, like the Tolkien heads are now like, okay, we see some of the differences because again, from what I've been hearing in all the reviews that I've been watching, there's no worse fans than these fantasy nerds, right? Because
Star Wars, Star
they
Trek.
hate, no, not even like worse than Star Wars, worse than comics, fantasy, because these are 60, 70-year-old people and their kids, right? These are people from World War One and World War Two, right? So these are boomers that are actually, you know, they think the letter of the word matters everything. So the showrunners understand that, but they also understand Tolkien himself, he loves fan fiction.
Mhm.
It's very pronounced. Although his fans hate when people do weird things about his text, Tolkien was a linguist and a fantasy writer. He
Yeah.
built a world. He built a language, 5 different languages,
Mhm.
for every different thing because he wants to give the tools to people like the showrunners of Rings of Power to do their own world
Yeah.
with
Or
boundaries.
Peter
That's
Jackson.
why
Yeah.
my favorite thing that I've recently heard or recently researched is Tolkien was he's technically a horrible writer.
Bring it back to the show. How does it
Bringing
make
back
it
to the show
better?
is they have all the elements to do their own
Yeah.
story without breaking the main continuity of the
That's my
timeline.
point. You can
Well,
go, even though you can spread so much like this, it's still gonna converge in one point.
So that's
well,
like it's gonna converge in one point, but your point is you have a path,
yeah.
right?
You have a
So
rule
No,
book,
I
and then
know,
you're a
but
DM.
it's still the
Basically,
ending. I don't care how many journeys or how many variations you can make it. You're still
yeah.
okay,
constrained.
all
You're
right.
still gonna
Well,
hit the
So
point. That point.
your
the way,
argument is you don't care the journey, you just need
I
the ending.
care about the journey. I'm
Oh, you
saying,
well,
just said
no,
you
no,
don't
no,
care
so
about the journey, you
no,
just
no,
care
no,
the
no,
path,
no,
and you
no, no,
really
no,
want
no, no.
the ending.
so the
I'm
way
saying,
I see this,
wait, I'm
the way I
saying
see
it
this.
can't be
Okay.
as great as I think, or even really great, if I know that beat already. It takes
If you
away
know
a lot.
that beat, but
Yeah.
the question here is that beat the only beat that, well, I'm stealing this from another podcast, but if your beat is the only beat that they're gonna make, what if there's
Yeah.
4 or 5 beats prior to that beat that they can create
But
for
it's
you?
still gonna
Yeah.
hit that beat.
Okay.
Whatever you do,
The
you're gonna
the
hit that beat. Galadriel will still
the
be in
way I
fellowship
see
the first three.
Okay. So you
the
don't
way.
care if there's like so sorry, Arnie, I know
Okay.
we're holding you because like this is very important because
Yeah.
this is what shows are made of.
I
Like
know, no, no, I understand what you're saying, and then there can be so many beats in the middle. The problem is you're still gonna hit that beat, and it can still be
Yes.
yeah.
great. But knowing that beat takes something out of it. That's all I'm saying. We discussed this
Oh,
before. Like,
yeah, I mean, I understand and I see your point, but your point is if I have right now we have one beat. There's 3 ages, right? There's
Yep.
3 Lord of the Rings
we're
ages.
in the second,
We
right?
are on age 2,
Uh huh.
right?
Yeah. Second age. Yep.
The third age is like the
The War of the
Fellowship
Ring.
of the Hobbit age, and
Mm-hmm.
then the Lord of the Rings age. Okay,
The War of the Ring. Yeah.
there's if I have right now if I have 1, 2, 3, right? You're saying if I do 1 doesn't matter. If I do 2 doesn't matter because 3 is gonna happen. But for me, it's the ages that matter,
Hmm.
I know.
right?
I understand everything, and it can even be great. I'm just saying it takes something away. That's all I'm saying.
No, and that's what I am refuting. Because like, why is if I have mile markers, if I'm doing something in between, if I'm doing something in the future, you say it's taking away everything in the back.
No, I'm not
Because I'm
saying that. I'm
putting
just
that
saying it
point.
Oh,
takes
okay.
something, not everything.
Oh
I'm just
yeah,
saying
okay. Oh, I mean, taking
it takes a
something,
hit.
and that's where
It's
we
taking
differ.
a
Because
hit.
like for me,
The
if it's
the
not
way I
contained,
approach this is okay. Let's just bring it to Star Wars, right?
Same
We know
thing
the
with
original
Star Wars.
trilogies.
Mm-hmm.
We know the original trilogies. But if the prequels were made with the Clone Wars animated series, yes, we do know that Darth Vader, Anakin turns to Darth Vader, yada yada yada. But we got to the journey of why he became Darth
I
Vader.
know, and that's
We
why
got
that's part of
I'm
it.
we
starting to get,
we
and many people are starting to get sick of the
I
Skywalkers
know.
and all of those. all of the
I
prequel,
understand.
so many shows
I
are, and this is like what you're saying, Jong. There's so many shows between episode 1 and episode 6. So different timelines, so many different versions, so many
Yeah.
like Andor and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's still hitting. You're still gonna hit those beats at the end, and
Yes. I
it can
mean,
be
it's
great. I mean,
basically your
we loved a lot of the stuff in the middle. You know, like some of the Disney Plus shows that we've seen. But there's still something that's taken away by
yes.
knowing the ending beats.
We do
You
get
know what I
that
mean?
fixed point in time. We get it.
So
Anakin will not
all
die
I'm
before
saying
episode
is,
whatever. Yeah.
I think it would have been better if they just went original, like
But the thing
or
is,
if it was too far
They
back.
have one.
it's okay.
Because I know
Let's go back.
Galadriel.
Let's
I know
go.
what's happening to Galadriel. I know what's happening to Elrond. I know what's going to happen to Isildur. So
Yeah.
making Isildur more
But the
sympathetic
thing is,
instead of just like not throwing the ring in.
Mhm.
How much can my perception of him
well,
change when
so
at the end
here's
he still didn't throw the ring and still got skewered in the river and lost the ring? You know what I mean?
here's the problem with that, because the deal that Amazon made with the estate is that they cannot go beyond. I think they cannot go beyond the books, the original 3 books. There's some certain rules that the estate didn't want.
No, again, you can't use the thing with the Tolkien estate, which is a lot in a lot of IP. You can't
Yeah,
change the thing. So Chubax
Yeah.
is right. You can't change what has been written because that's finite.
that's
So you're
kind of yeah,
doing everything
yeah,
in between, because you can't do before, you can't do after.
yeah.
So that's why the argument is very poignant or very, yeah, it's very important, because the idea is what happens now is I'm supposed to be on your side, Chubak, because I hate adaptations. I don't
Mhm.
like the minor tweaks or adding additional embellishment to make something work. Like, that's what Star Wars is doing right now. The animated series was built standalone in between stories, but touches upon like fixing a little bit of the things,
Mhm.
providing a little bit more context,
Yeah,
which I'm not a fan of.
retconning.
And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
doing a lot of things like Clone Wars provides a lot of insight between Obi-Wan and Anakin and future Ahsoka that we're gonna see. I'm actually like you. I don't care much about it because it's one, the timeline is not, it's so messy. There's so many things that are happening. It's difficult to follow, but once you follow it, you get additional context on what had happened.
Mhm.
Which for me, like you, yeah, how much context can you give me to make that thing better, right?
Yeah,
There's only, like you're right, there's a ceiling. There's a
yeah.
ceiling to that concept. My argument is, if you're giving me another story in between, that story is in and of itself. So it doesn't matter what happened before it or after it. It's a story within itself. So if we're going from second age to third age,
Hmm.
if we're going, I don't know, maybe we're just going from 2 point. So if it's 2.1 to 2.10, if we're going
I see your point.
1 to 2.4,
I would have
that could
agreed.
be a
I would have
story.
agreed. The problem is you have characters in the second age who reach the third age.
And that is the unique thing that I'm also struggling, because
Yeah.
That's
this
my
is the
issue.
first time that we are having characters that spans thousands of years, which is and from what I've
So,
researched, it's a huge challenge
which
already.
makes making what your point kind of, it doesn't matter if it's 1,000 years now because you have characters living 3,000. So it's the same thing as the prequel Star Wars. The years don't matter because they're the still same characters. It's like
The same
Yeah.
character,
the good
yeah.
thing
The
was,
years,
like if it would have been original characters, like in Critical Role they had a prequel of the Calamity that happened maybe 1,000 years ago. All different characters, and it was so intense because anything could have happened. We don't know who survived, who dies,
True.
and here I already
mean,
have three who's going to
I,
reach
I,
the first
I
the
agree
fellowship.
with you. I agree with you that they could have had different characters, like maybe instead of Galadriel, or and Elrond, they could have had different elves. Like they could have kept
well, I
Gil-galad.
mean,
That's
no,
fine.
see, that's the thing. It's like they can't.
But the thing is, they can't,
You
because
can't make a story about the things that had happened 1,000 years ago with those people, with new people. So that's why for me this is a unique circumstance that is one of the few. Well, if this were the same story, like, all right, Chubax, take it. If it wasn't Lord of the Rings, if it was MCU, or if it's Star Wars, let's say, let's do uh Captain America in uh in the first 5 years of being in the MCU after being thawed. If we do a trilogy there, right? I also would be more on your side. Like, I don't care
Mhm.
what story there is, you're gonna go to Infinity War and then you're gonna go with Peggy, right? That's kind of my angle. I'm still going to appreciate it, right? Because it's a contained story, maybe an espionage trilogy or whatever, and then what's gonna happen. The reason why I'm extremely interested, and the reason why I think this one is, uh, you know, quite apparent, not because of all of what the showrunner said, because they've again, they hear the same things that you're saying, like, the why are you putting these characters, like, even I know we haven't done the synopsis finished yet, but even the stranger that is on episode 2, like, it is someone. So that's going to be kind of like one of the ways that I think this story will be extremely new, but also extremely familiar, because they do shit like that, like the stranger. Because point,
Gandalf.
they can't use Gandalf.
But
They
they
cannot
can.
use
No,
Gandalf,
it's gonna be another
right?
wizard probably.
No, they can't. They can make a new wizard.
Yeah.
So
It's not Mithrandir, but
that's the
it's
reason why I
somebody else.
am digging this show, because even if they say I can't use Gandalf, Gandalf is technically a name given to Gandalf by the hobbits in the
Yeah.
Third Age,
Or and the Mithrandir with the
right?
elves.
So
Yeah.
he is actually, so there's only four wizards in the
Yeah.
entirety of Lord of the
Saruman,
Rings, right?
Saruman,
the animal
and then
And
one.
the
then
brown wizard,
the
and then there's
brown,
another one.
the green one, the thing,
Yeah.
and the rumor, and then the hint that was given, that we've already at this point already seen three, because the wizards, when when they travel, they reincarnate or wherever,
Mhm.
they forget who they are every time that they change. Like,
Yeah.
remember when Gandalf become
The
from
white.
Gandalf the Great to Gandalf the White? It's like, oh, Gandalf,
So yeah,
I
that's
was
used. What?
called Gandalf
Yeah.
once. So this is, I was like, when I saw that, or when I actually when I saw that last night, and then I realized, like, shit, this is the one of the few things that kind of like makes it. So if they can do this on a major character
Yeah.
like a Gandalf, what more did they can do to Sauron's
But for me,
all, like,
I'm just seeing a rehash of Gandalf. They're just changing the
okay,
name. His acting, his effects are the same, and then
yep, but I'm seeing,
we get Theo with the same ring effects as Frodo,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
being
Mhm.
like kind of the ringish. So it's
mm-hmm,
like I've seen these beats for now. I'm not saying I know where it's going, but
yeah, yeah,
that's why I wasn't blown away by the first two episodes, because I was blown away by the
Well,
first 10 minutes, but
yeah,
after that it's like
really,
yeah.
I
yeah.
fell asleep the first 10 minutes. Maybe I was late.
No, because
The
I like
pacing is a little slow.
I loved Galadriel's the intro, and I love Morphin Clark also as Galadriel.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
So for me, I love it because, like, we haven't among the so many books, so many radio plays, all the weird stuff that has
Mhm.
happened to Gandalf, we've never seen a wizard born. So that's kind of like, oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
No, like, right, let's
We
go
did
with,
see when he
well, again, it's not
transformed.
confirmed yet. It's not
Yeah.
confirmed. It might
We
be a
saw a
totally
wizard born when he was kind of transformed into the white.
white. Yeah, but
Yeah.
oh, we got him back already. Kind of like, it's, so that's, I don't understand, because, like, for when Gandalf came back as the White, he was already Gandalf. He was already,
Mhm.
like, all the stuff. So this one, he can't even speak, right? So
Mhm.
that's
Well, he
kind
can
of like
speak whatever language they're speaking.
well,
He was
yeah.
speaking
Cricket. He can
something
speak
else.
Firefly. He
Yeah.
can speak.
You can
All
speak
right.
Firefly.
We went
Shiny.
on a Arnie, finish off a couple of the synopsis so we can further discuss all of the
So
other
okay,
details.
so we talked about the stranger. That was the last beat. But anyways, going back to the elves. So the Gilgalad, the High King, decided, you know what? We've searched for orcs for too long. This company of heroes are heroes. They'll get granted permission to go back to Valinor. So for those who remember the last part of the trilogy, where Frodo, Gandalf, Legolas, and
They
all
all
the
left.
elves went. They all basically went to the Undying Lands. But Galadriel, at this point, as Chubax said, we know that she didn't go.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
She decided that she just can't let go of that attachment because Sauron killed her brother. She still feels there's an evil
Even my
lurking
wife was
somewhere
like,
in
she's
Middle Earth.
annoying because she's like, and I did like that point of when Elrond and Gil-galad were saying like, even the wind that's trying to put out the fire can make it grow more. That's why
So
Yeah,
she's
that's a
sending her.
great, yeah,
Yeah, so
that's a
that's a great
very
I like
point.
that
that's
part,
a very
but then again, when you see
Tolkien
her
way.
on the boat going, she's not going. I know that's already.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and then
that's a great theme too of like, do you is security help
mhm,
foster peace, or the mere presence of security fosters fear of the unknown, right? So that's,
yeah,
yeah, very
I
and the
very
thing
think yeah,
is,
that would fall
2022.
on the leader. For me, I
I
would
mean,
rather know. From if I was deciding, I'd rather confront it head on than catch
yeah.
unaware, which I think they're gonna be caught unaware. So,
Or just
but
like,
Well,
I
yeah, it
mean,
just
well,
it depends on.
I figured like my same with you. I was thinking, if we do like half the, instead of a full battalion, maybe just half, right? Right, but
yeah, cut the budget.
just in case. But they would also like, all right, the story would be like, maybe there'll be, so how many years we'll do, half of, we have 100 soldiers, then 50 soldiers, and 25
Yeah,
soldiers, and then it should go home,
yeah,
right? So it's just
yeah,
prolonged. So I kind of like, maybe this was the last remnants of the army that they've been kind of like
yeah.
scouring the Middle Earth for.
Yeah. And and then again, like I mean, they also mentioned like, you're kind of like self-manifesting this evil that you're looking
Exactly.
for. Which, I mean, of course we know that there's still an evil lurking, but of course, if you're looking through the eyes of the elves that they have no idea Sauron lives and all that, you could argue that, yeah, you're just self-manifesting this evil and it will
Mhm.
consume you and it might even, make you evil and something like that. But anyways, that's episode one. As you could see, it's a very, very lively conversation about this show already. Episode two picks up where Galadriel was swimming back. I mean, wow, she's an excellent swimmer if she could make it that back. Um,
It's a long swim.
it's a long swim. I
She is
guess she
an
didn't
elf.
plan that far ahead, but she encountered a group of humans who just didn't last 2 minutes on screen. They got killed off by the
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 worm.
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 Except for one guy, the Halbeard or Hal,
Halbrand.
what's his name? Halbrand of the Southlands. So so they were basically working together. That scene where Galadriel was sinking just reminded me of Pirates for some reason. Remember that stupid movie that we watched before, but at least this one's better executed. Uh, Great on the costume designers, because basically Galadriel's in underwear now, but for some reason not even water could make her
Yeah.
translucent. Uh,
Every detail was you can see the $1 billion budget, because like you're
yeah,
right. You're in sheer clothing, but you can't even see a butt crack.
exactly. You see there's
Right?
some leg, but that's fine.
Leg, but
Yeah,
no form, no bra,
yeah,
no thong, no nothing. That's
yeah.
how, like, you want to be able to make this a G-rated
Yeah. And the thing
series.
is, like, even for practicality, so she was sinking or she was trying to swim. If those are thick clothes, she would that actress swam basically. So that's really good. And then and then we get more details of the Harfoots. Basically, they're seeing signs of, there's travelers or humans like too early in the season, and then there's like the moon during daytime, so they're seeing this as an omen that something's coming. And basically that's what happened, that the meteor came in with the stranger, which is, as we discussed, could be a Gandalf like character. We also get more details on how Poppy and Nori helped out the stranger. And I think that's how they're going to tie into the main story. Like by helping the stranger, they'll be introduced to the elves and the men and the dwarves. Elrond gets an assignment from the High King, working with the elf smiths. So this part I'm
Celebrimbor.
really interested in, like because they discussed the hammer of what's the hammer of
Faerun,
Fëanor's
Faerun,
hammer,
Faerun,
Fëanor,
Faerun,
the
Faerun,
one that
Faerun.
built the Silmarillion. So when I was doing my deep dive 20 years ago, I was going to Barnes and Nobles, just reading all those appendices. I was really interested in seeing what the Silmarillion was, like the what happened in the second age, the first age. So this is very interesting to me. Yes, I know War of the Ring happens, but I'm still interested in the history of it. So giving me those Easter eggs, I was happy about it. But of course, the task was he wanted to build this Elspeth Celebrimbor,
Celebrimbor.
Forge.
Celebrimbor.
Celebrimbor, Caleb, basically. He wants to build a forge, which I think is the one that built
Makes the
Isildur's
rings.
sword, right?
That's the
Maybe.
place.
And the rings, I think,
Yeah,
also.
yeah. So it could be where Sauron built the rings. Basically, he has until spring to build it. He's like, oh, that's a fast project.
And not even questioning why. Why are you in a hurry?
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
no
Why are you
big
in a
evil
hurry? Like,
coming.
I
Why
don't
you know?
think that's right. I don't know why spring, huh?
Yeah, right.
so we're
Not
like,
even
are
next spring,
you
like
like,
this spring. Why?
for a being that lives for thousands of years? Well, why are you in a hurry? So
Now I
there's
didn't
that.
even think. So maybe what's his name? The elf that was tasked to do that has already been corrupted by
Could
Celebrimbor. Yeah, that's what
Sauron.
could be.
I think that I saw a wiki where he was deceived
He
by
does.
someone to make the rings. So I don't know if
he-
that's very factual, but
Maybe the
that's
spring is like something like
Well,
uh,
I mean, all of this is happening. All of the orcs popping up,
mhm,
the stranger coming down
yeah,
from the earth. Bigger, the moons are low. The tides are so. I
yeah,
think everything is trying to coalesce to a particular time.
yeah. But
Strange.
basically, so when Elrond said, "Well, if you're fine with working outside of Elvish people, I have some suggestions." So they go to Khazad Dûm, which I was so excited because I wanted to see that in its glory. So yeah, it was what I expected. Beautiful mines. The elves were there. Durin was mentioned by Gimli back in the original trilogies again because of he's a prince and says he is in this trailer here. That's Durin. Establishes that he's been friends with Elrond. So it's kind of like the Gimli Legolas banter
Exactly.
there.
Exactly.
And and the thing that I wanted to point out, I mean, production wise, in the original trilogies, let's just say it, everybody's white. Here, wow, like there's black elves, there's black dwarves, there's
You
Harfords
know,
are very diverse. It's just I don't know, the world
refreshing.
just comes alive more.
it's very
It's very
diverse, but
refreshing.
believe it or not, there's still like people complaining like there's
Well,
no
of
South Asian,
course.
there's no East Asians. Like uh, you can't just put like every fucking race in a particular
Yeah,
thing. That was a big thing I think I forget which thread it was, but I was just like one like South Asian writer was like,
The thing is,
no,
I
not
mean,
one South Asian here. It's like,
like,
dude, it's
do
two
I need
episodes.
do I need a Filipino in Middle Earth?
Of course we do,
Eh,
but I mean, I would love a Filipino in Middle Earth, but
but the thing is, for me, hobbits are Filipino. Basically,
I was gonna
we
say
eat a lot.
Theo. Theo
Theo,
looks Hawaiian.
Yeah, and
he looks
how
Maori.
how did
He
Bronwyn
looks Maori.
not hear any of those scratchings?
Yeah,
Why was
but the thing is
Theo the
like
only one that heard somebody digging under there?
the mice. Well, maybe he's being corrupted already by the ring MacGuffin there, right?
No. He's been
And then
complaining about that even before he
The
got the
mice was
the
yeah,
mice were keeping him up. Why didn't
well, maybe it's
Bronwyn
not. Well,
couldn't
as we
hear?
as we saw, it's probably not mice. It's probably that. I thought
Yeah,
it was a
that's
goblin, but apparently it was
an
an
orc.
orc.
yeah.
Yeah.
So why
So
didn't Bronwyn notice about that?
well, she was too
Sleep
infatuated
heavy
with the.
sleeper.
She's a heavy sleeper. She's hanging out with the elves, man. But basically, so yeah, episode 2, I think it's for me it's the better of the 2 episodes, because it's just more things are happening. We're introduced to more characters, um, and the Kazan Doom scene, like just seeing the minds, the dwarves' minds. But there's also some intrigue there, like they're talking about, does Elrond know? And I was like, is that because they're digging and finding out the Balrog already? uh,
No, I think it was
There
and
was
then
the
Mithril.
thing.
It was Mithril,
Yeah.
I think.
and, like they found the mithril, right? Because when
Yeah,
they opened that case, it looked like
it
mithril,
looked
but I was
like
like,
Mithril.
is it mithril? Is it, or is it the
So
palantir? Is it
I think
something?
they were like
Yeah,
they didn't want to share, or they didn't want others finding out because they might want a piece of it. I think
that's true.
that's what it came
That's
out.
true. Yeah,
Is it,
and
it could be any other like dangerous artifact? Because like mithril is a resource, right?
yeah, because I'm thinking it was a palantir, but I don't know
Well,
who
I
made the
don't think
palantir.
palantirs were built yet then.
Yeah,
Which
I
is
think
the thing that's
Sauron
like
built those, right?
Yeah,
it's a thing that is very important. I'm very excited to figure it out
Yeah,
next week.
yeah, because like see, either that or a Silmarillion could be. Maybe one survived. I don't know. So we'll see. I mean, again, I geeked out on this back in the day, so I was like really excited to see the Kazan Doom. I'm hoping that eventually we'll see Rivendell, at least an early version of it. Uh, but yeah, I
Oh,
mean
maybe we
that's
even saw it
basically
already, but like on a higher. It's not Rivendell yet. It's still higher.
Yeah.
Like
yeah. It,
Yeah.
and I like that they carved the dead in
on the
living things.
trees.
That was like,
Yeah.
oh wow,
It's
like
super cool.
okay, that's but yeah. I mean, it's just seeing like the watchtowers, and I think, and then after seeing them in the movies, that they're all ruined because they were abandoned thousands of years ago. Like, oh, okay. So yeah, there's a lot of connecting there. Uh, do you guys like the map that they established there? When they
It was a
moved
little
somewhere else,
confusing
they
to me. Like there's too many names,
I
and
I
yeah
actually like appreciate the map now because like it's a little bit more it's broader, right?
yeah
Because like we had to go from what's the Volandril, go to over to the
yeah,
sea to Middle Earth,
Valinor, and then
Valinor,
Middle Earth, the
and
Southlands.
Southlands, and then so I think I saw it a little bit clear, but again, it's only a small portion, so I would love to see like a
yeah.
full
It
thing.
that not seeing the full thing kind of confused
Yeah.
me. I just went with the characters more in
But
Yeah,
location.
maybe that's by design because like if we see different places, like maybe the
yeah,
more people come together, we'll see more of
yeah.
the map. But
We'll
because again,
probably
you're right
see.
because like it's a spot a spot on the west, spot on the south, and spot
Yeah,
a little bit on the east. So it's like right.
yeah. Maybe we'll see Gondor eventually, or at least what's the north? I keep forgetting the name of the north territories. But yeah, uh, yeah. I mean, the only complaint I had with this show is that the pacing is just a little slow, but it's beautifully shot, very cinematic. You could see where the money went. Uh,
Yeah, and like
I
all big cast, there's. I mean, no matter how good writing you are, there's gonna
Yep,
be.
it's
I
tough.
want to be on the other side. Why are we talk? Why are we here? What's happening? I
mhm,
want the other part.
Yeah,
So that
yeah,
bugged me again.
yeah,
But
and
that's
the
more
thing is
like
like,
personal bias with like getting
yeah,
tired with Game of Thrones and stuff. Not really a knock on this one, but
yeah.
yeah,
I'm like again, like you guys. Even now where we only have not even half of the full cast of main characters. I'm already struggling, but I
mhm.
hmm
didn't struggle as much. Well, it's weird because Game of Thrones came out. We kind of like
Did
we're still reading the
did they
books.
say how many years this was?
What mean like this
the
two
From
span.
episodes?
Fellowship.
It's like,
It's just they
well,
say it's a second age.
the
That's it.
second age.
Oh,
So yeah,
So technically, it's
because it
30. So second age was supposed to be 3,000 years.
when
Like
hmm
did
between second and third
the
age.
second when does the second age end? Sauron's
And
defeat
a Hobbit.
with Sauron's
so
defeat.
that I
Yeah.
think
The intro
Sauron's
of the
defeat.
Fellowship
Yeah,
is that the end of the
Mm,
second age?
yeah. That's
yep.
basically
Yeah.
Yeah, so they
So
really shortened
3,000.
it
But
because Isildur is not an elf, but he survives.
Numenor.
so he's a
Yeah,
Numenorian
but he's
who
not
lives 900 years. But that's why,
not
like
an
I
elf.
mentioned up top, I think the producers squish the second age into 1,000 years so that Isildur can be alive the entire time.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the
so
prevailing
Which is
idea.
going back to your problem, Chubax. That's why, like, if they just had different characters, they could have had the
Mhm.
3,000 year span of the second age.
yeah, maybe if they
But
did the
I
first
think
age, that would have been more for
like
me, because like
the
we
war with
don't know
Orgoth.
Yeah,
those beats
Huh?
at all.
yeah. I think the
Not like
first age did
Morgoth.
not have as much
There's a lot of battle.
just so they didn't have a lot
Her
of
brother died.
appendix to go with that. That's from what I've heard. Is like you're right. I mean, they could have done first and second age or something like that,
Yeah.
but they purposely decided on this, despite the idea of crossing characters, and the only thing that they really wanted to change is like, yeah, you there, because the big debate right now is like, hey, this is a story about the second age that's around 3,000 years. Yeah, the elves, some of the elves like Gimli is fine. um
Dwarf. Yeah.
Dwarves, they live forever, that's fine. So the Numenorians, but the Numenorians won't, the humans won't, and then
Yeah.
the Harfoots won't. So they did not want, or the only clue that we were given is they didn't want to have a rotating cast of people. You can't like get attached to Nori, and then at the end of season one, Nori's like old and dead, right? And
Well,
then we have a new Nori on season
that
two. There's
that's the
five
problem.
seasons.
That's the problem I have with the House of the Dragon, because the Rhaenyra is going to be replaced by an older actress midway of the season.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
I kind of saw that. I'm not watching
Yeah,
Game of
yeah.
Thrones.
But just to give you context, that I think season one goes through decades of that
Oh yeah, that's right. Because
storyline.
you can't go.
Yeah, but of course, when you have a really good actress and hitting it out of the park, and then you have to replace her, like, oh man, okay, whatever.
That's gonna
Better
be.
than killing them off, right? I guess. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the thing is, I just remembered about is Isildur here. Will we see the Oathbreakers here?
Maybe we'll see. There's 5 seasons.
Yeah, because that one, I also like that part of it, that they didn't go to Isildur's aid and then he cursed them. So I'd like to see him, like, did he actually have magical powers, or did the elves help him, or we'll see. Well, he did have the one ring. That's the thing there, but I don't know.
I'm just like, even like watching the trailer. My thing is like, I'm like, this has been my cure for and we discussed this in a couple of episodes ago about most of the popular series now are just about the 1% fighting against itself.
Rich people
It's like
problems.
Oh yeah,
Succession,
I don't
Billions,
watch those.
right? And then even Game of Thrones, I've seen the first episode. I've listened to a lot of reviews. They're raving about how good it is. But for me, I'm done with people just fucking themselves over. I want this fantastical thing, like a giant monster at the end where people need to coalesce. I want to go old school storytelling. So I'm enjoying this. And then the reason why I'm enjoying this even more is this is unfair because they have a lot of budget. So, the thing that, it's the thing. It's like the every costume that you see,
Oh my
totally
god,
unique. The makeup,
I
like
agree.
the Harfoots, it doesn't look like you put like dirt makeup on them. It looks like they actually live
Yeah,
in the
and
forest.
then there's female dwarves.
Okay. And the elves pristine in every
Hmm.
single way.
Of course,
Um
even after swimming for
I was
hours,
like,
yeah, she
every
still looks wow.
location is great.
Mhm.
Even when you listen to, and this was a very big point of contention of the show runners. They wanted to be purposeful in the tone of every race or every group of people. Like if you listen to how dwarves speak, their
Mhm.
beats are different. Harfoots, their beats are
Scottish.
different.
They sound
Elvish, or beats are
Scottish.
different because in the books they're actually supposed to be different languages. So they wanted to
Mhm.
really make sure that you're enveloped in this world. And I think, it obviously did. It not a single frame made me think like, look at the forced perspective where there is
Mm.
the stranger and the Harfoot. Like you can see a little bit, but not, nothing. It's just you see where the money went. So I don't even consider this compared to like Wheel of Time or Halo, because like that's
Oh God.
totally unfair to compare. But
Yeah.
this is how you build a world. Like everything was, I just think like everything looked gorgeous. I just like opening my eyes and just like looking at it. It's like it looks great, and there's a little bit of action in it. So it's pretty. It's for me. This is kind of
There needs more action in it.
yeah, eight
That's
episodes. I think is perfect.
Yeah, because
Eight hours.
I'm not like running to watch it again.
Mm. Yeah, for me, this one, like, unlike this is the show for me that I think I will listen to every podcast so that I can appreciate every episode more. Game of
yeah.
Thrones, I tried. I said no. It's like it's just I don't like this quest. I don't like, even if it's much more real, I don't fun. I like this where, eventually a group combined with elves, dwarves, Numenorians, humans, Harfoots, weird wizard,
There's some.
finding
They
something.
saw some. They showed some tree ants too when the
Oh,
meteor
that's
was
true. Like
falling.
there was a little bit of of
Was
when
that
you're going
tree
in
beard?
different. Yeah,
It could be tree beard. I mean, they're
I'm
old.
sure it's somewhere there.
Yeah.
Somewhere
Right.
there. Uh, all right. What else? Last few thoughts, Chubax and Arnie, on first two episodes of Rings of Power, and we can uh rate it. Rate the first two episodes.
Go ahead, Arns.
Well, for me, I will rate it as an 8. Again, like I said, it's a beautifully shot. Like you said, you could tell where the money went. The costumes are amazing. Uh, I mean, I will get used to the characters. Of course, Galadriel, the actress already got me there. Uh, Nori is also. I like Nori, and I like Bronwyn as well. Um, and of course, Durin and Elrond. I mean,
Dude.
I just want to see I just want to see more of the dwarves and the elves and all that stuff. Um, it's an 8. The pacing could be a little bit faster. More action sequences, hopefully. Um, and yeah, once I got used to the languages again, because it does sound like Tolkien in the book, which the part I hated about the book when I was reading it. But once I got used to it, it's kind of like Shakespeare. You just have to get used to the tone and the pacing of it and the cadence. But yeah, it's an 8. I'll keep watching. Yeah, I mean, all reservations aside about being a prequel, it's an 8.
Oh, Chubax?
Yeah, I'd go with a 7 for now. Just like as you said, it's unfair to like all how it looks and beautiful because it's supposed to look beautiful with the budget.
Bad
So
budget.
how can you? How
For
can
$1 billion,
you?
better look good.
It's like buying a Ferrari and it's like, oh, it's so powerful. It fucking better be with $1 million or like. So it's hard to really rave on it. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I enjoyed it. It was nice to watch. It was good to look at. Uh, there is that feeling of like you are in a Ferrari. So like, damn, this shit looks good. So but yeah, it's as Arnie said, a little slow. I don't. Was there even an action sequence in the second? I don't. There wasn't.
Second
Son, right?
episode.
Oh,
Was
the orc
The
fight.
orc.
The orc fight. Okay,
orc
I did
fight,
like
and
I did
then
like how that orc looked. They made
and
one
then
orc look
the
really
dwarf
menacing because
challenge.
it was just fighting oh, a mom and
Isidore.
and the son. But
Yeah.
I'm seeing too many similar beats: Frodo and the ring, Theo and the sword, uh, Bronwyn and Arondir, Aragorn and
Arwen.
what was her name?
Aragorn and
Arwen.
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 And then Gimli, Legolas with Durin and Elrond.
Yeah, even though I did enjoy the dinner scene with the wife, that was funny.
Yeah.
And that Dorin wants him to stay, but she's just trying to be a hard hit.
Yeah, that was cute. That was so cute.
So
Cousin
yeah,
Doom.
and then
Yeah.
even though I love Galadriel, she was kind of like a bitch at the start, like, we don't stop. What do you mean you don't stop? One of them just fell in, leaving her in the snow, and then she did stop.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that being in a prequel, I mean, I hope. I mean, I'm not a toxic guy. I don't want it to suck. I don't want it to I'd be happy if it surprised me and I enjoy it, and I'm still gonna watch it and I'm still gonna
Yeah.
enjoy it. But yeah, like Arnie said, Isabella, who loves the Lord of the Rings, got bored, but then she is young. But then she did enjoy Lord of the Rings, so I don't know what that says. My wife fell asleep, but Lucas did. He doesn't like Lord of the Rings, so I wasn't surprised that he didn't. He was on his iPad by 15th minute. So yeah, I mean I'm kind of hopeful. 7, yeah, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a 9 because again, this is going to be my show of the summer. I
Mhm.
just like love everything about what they're trying to build. And the only reason why it's not a 10 is because you can't get a 10 because it's just such a big cast, such a big quest that you can't see everything. There's never going to be enough real estate in screen time or actual episode time just to get all of these well.
Mhm.
Like I think it's close to impossible to have everything. Either it's too fast, it's you cram too much into episode, or you cram too
Yeah.
little into episodes, because
Yeah.
like, or it's going to be 3 or 4 episodes to get the entire cast just to get to like whatever this first mission that they're going to do. So
We don't even know if they're
uh
gonna get all together in season 1.
100% and that's the other thing.
I wouldn't be surprised if they waited till season 5 or season 4.
Yeah, I think maybe, yeah, I think maybe third, fourth episode you'll see most of the people that you'll need for the first major
You'll
thing, and then
see them,
maybe,
not but
yeah,
not
yeah,
together.
yeah, not together. We'll see. Again, that's the thing. I don't even know what they're going to do yet, which is kind of,
Yeah.
maybe the first season is, if Amazon is smart, you want to make sure that the end of the first season is them seeing the big bad. But this is also, again, you have 5 seasons already. It's unique. It's very rare to have somebody say you have 5 seasons to do stuff.
Yeah.
You might do the big thing in the middle,
Yeah.
third season. So
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to break it up. I trust the showrunners. At this point, I'm just going by great
Yeah.
acting, great cast. Everything looks cared for. So again, the foundation is there. I think that they're going to live within the world that a story that I would like. It's
Yeah.
not super complex. It's just the usual. Every race has their own problem, but we need to come together for this big it's the same thing. It's a
Yeah.
Jesus story. It's great that Tolkien is like a super devout Christian. All of this is kind of like, light and dark, heaven and
Yeah.
hell, big evil, savior, etc., etc. So
Yeah.
it is super familiar, but that's the good thing about it. It's like every frame, I like what I see. It's super beautiful, and then they act as if it is an actual real world that I can be transported to.
Yeah.
Uh, I am cautiously optimistic. I'm very hopeful. And I do like the idea that I thought it was 10 episodes. 10 hours might be a little too much. It might be a little too long, but I think 8 episodes, I think, is a good sweet
Mhm.
spot. I'd rather say that I wish I had more episodes than it's like, oof. Wish we should have crunched a couple of more episodes there, like what we see in other seasons. So I'm very excited to uh get to watch this. But as we have gone long in this episode, I'm just gonna go quickly. Final goodbyes, Arnie.
Bye. I must depart.
Chubax.
Yeah, good discussion. I enjoyed it.
In the next couple of weeks, we'll do another chunk of Lord of the Rings as a series of the week to review. But again, please like and subscribe us on youtube.com/plus63hp. Follow us in all of our social media. Interact with us there. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at +63hp is our handle. And if you don't want to see our faces, please listen to us on your podcasting app of choice. Just search +63hp. Subscribe to us there as well. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and or Amazon. With that, we'll have extraordinary attorney Wu and Nope as our series of the week and movie of the week to discuss next week. If you want to join the discussion, watch along with us and see you next week. Bye.